Hi everyone, Ray from Pro String again. Hope you're all doing well. I'm going to do this racket from start to finish, including cutting out the strings. I think most courses do recommend to cut the strings out diagonally. That's where the strings do, or the racket frame suffers at its least. However, I'm not at a stringy course right now, far from. But this racket is a Head Pro Tour 630. Yeah, very old school racket. Racket head size is 95. Oh dear, I better Google this one. Got me, you got me. The moment you think you know everything, you know nothing. Let's see, Head Tour, Pro Tour, Head Pro Tour 630, specs. And if you guys ever get stuck on anything, this is exactly what you just need to do. Google it. Might be a pro stock racket as well, so I think it is. So 98 square inch, that's why I wasn't too sure. It wasn't that obvious. I thought, it looks small, not that small. Right, so it's annoying to take the strings out of this racket massively. So I've got my bin here, my garbage. Bin, garbage. Call it what you like. Alright, so I'm going to pull 2 out at a time. Client actually wants, believe it or not, I mean it's not that ridiculous, but 62.5. This client, if you're watching this video, you know who you are. Damon, very loyal client to us, loves how I string. Not to say that he doesn't like how our other guys string, but he does want me, when I'm in the country, to always do his rackets if possible. As you can see, so normally you can either pull, you can pull it out with your hand as well. You can pull 2 out. I find that it's just easier with the angle pliers. Come out nice and easy, but because of the grommets, you can see it can be very tricky to take the strings out. Sometimes tricky to even not to find the holes when you're stringing in itself, but sometimes, especially if there's a covered hole from a main string when you're doing your crosses, it can be a bit tricky sometimes, just a little. So 98 square inches. We're stringing this again at 62.5 pounds. You just mentioned to me it's an express service, so I have clients that do show up with an appointment and have the racket ready on arrival. Well, not on arrival, whatever it takes me to do. But they wait in their car, go for a coffee, depending on the time of the day or whatever it is. In this case, he's waiting in his car, I believe. And there you have it. He's got lead tape on it. It's been customized somewhere. Looks like by himself. If I'm not mistaken, that's at least what it looks like. But I know he does get his rackets from time to time customized from a company somewhere in London. I haven't done any customizations for him. Quite frankly, I don't care to do customization. I can, but I find it quite annoying. It can be a long process, especially if a player, a good level player, brings 4 or 5 rackets and I want them all the same. It's hard not to charge much or more than people would think, but it's so time consuming and it's difficult. It really is. So as you saw, started from the top, the bottom, came up the top and placed my second main string. So this is an 18-20 stringing pattern in a 98 square inch. A little bit of a tight pattern, but nonetheless. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah, and if you're thinking about what string I'm using, it doesn't get more basic than this. Leave yourself a little piece of string. This stuff is super stretchy, so I don't need to leave much. This is just a Prince synthetic gut. Strings don't get more basic than this. Prince synthetic gut, I think it's also called or known as original. But anyway, 62.5. We said that the last restring, I think it was just a week ago. So you have some players or clients that don't care when the rackets get restrung. You might see them once every 5 years, if that. Or you have other people who just, I mean, despite him liking my stringing, it was almost questionable. It was almost questioning, did you do something wrong? But he's, I love you, lots of love, Damon. If you do find this video out there. But he's incredibly fussy, incredibly fussy. And normally it's not a problem. This is like maybe the first, second time he's come back. It's normally 2 weeks. Every 2 weeks he'll get his racket restrung. On this occasion, I think it's a week, not even 10 days maybe. I don't know if it's to do with the weather or just, I mean, it's such a basic string. I don't know if, he did think there was a problem with the reel. He buys them in 100 meter reels. He goes through them significantly quick because he's stringing them often, but there was a reel that was questionable, and we've just opened a new reel on the last restring, I believe. So I don't know. Let's see what he says when in the next few days or in the next week or two when I hear from him again. But let's hope I calibrate my machine. I will make a video on that eventually. Just trying to get as much content out there on different types and models and brands, different rackets, for those who are looking how to string the racket for the first time or whatever it might be. So as you've seen, I'm going a bit quicker now because he's paying premium to have his racket done while he waits. I don't let people into the house just for safety issues. Not that this guy I have any problems with, or anybody for that matter, but just letting strangers into the house when you have kids is probably not the smartest thing, I guess. Especially in London, you just don't know who you're dealing with, or anywhere in the world. 3 strings to each side, 1, 2, 3, then I did 1, 2, 3, then I carry on to do another 3, 4, 5, 6. So I hope this racket puts a smile on his face, and he's not coming back in 10 days again. And he's normally 2 weeks. Well, 3 weeks is a lot for him, I would say. I'm the same though. I'm fussy as well. If I'm not breaking my strings in 2 weeks, I'm cutting them out. Or once I get to that point, you know, by 3rd week, if I'm playing, you know, if I'm playing a serious, I'm training or I'm playing some points or whatever it is, even if it's not an official competition, it starts frustrating me and I know why. I'll just leave the racket on the side, grab another one that's fresh, and maybe I won't cut the strings out because obviously the last thing I want to be doing is stringing my own racket all the time. So I'll just leave it on the side, leave it in my bag until my next practice, and hopefully it breaks by then. Normally when I get close to breaking, the strings lose a lot of tension just before you break. So I normally I can feel it quite well when I'm going to break strings. In this case, Damon, owner of this racket, plays very flat. I have not seen him play. However, I just asked the question. I said, how often are you playing? Despite knowing him many years, but 4 or 5 times a week. Wow, what a life. It's very flat. I mean, there's barely any cutting into the string. So damage-wise or breakage-wise, it's minimal. There is none, pretty much. There is no, you know, grooves. If you pull down your cross string after using your racket a few times, if you hit with a good amount of spin, when you pull down that cross string, you'll see the grooves that the friction creates between string and string, main strings and crosses. So as you saw, I didn't mention, but I upped the tension on the, well, you might have seen it. If you go back to the video, you will see I just pressed the button there. It's so automatic in my mind when I start speeding up a little bit. In this case, because the client is waiting outside, as I mentioned, I'll just do things automatically and forget to perhaps mention them. Excuse me, this cough is getting irritating. So we're on the 8th. This is a 1820. We are now on the last main of this side, number 9. And just in case it helps you guys, the only string you're skipping at the bottom, string, whole even, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, skip 1, 9. The top is different. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, skip 1, 8, skip 1, 9. Obviously, both sides the same. Did you hear that? That little click? That's because the grommets, the way these grommets are made on these head rackets. All the head Prestiges have the same grommets. So, yeah. Make sure you hear that click, which you should be able to easily pull it with your hand. And then pull your knot, just to make sure there is no extra lag. Alright guys, we start our crosses now. I'll put it on this side so you can see the full racket. I'm going to do 7 3/4 because I know the string's going to stretch quite a bit, so I'd probably be fine with 7 1/2, but just to be safe. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 3/4. Normally I would do 7 1/2. This string is super stretchy. I don't know if you've noticed, when I'm pulling the string, it just keeps stretching, keeps going. Just gonna have a look at what time we're on. 11 minutes for the mains. Then of course I'm talking and pausing a little bit here and there to explain a couple things. Use your right hand, or if the racket's the other way around, your left hand, respectively. Avoid that burning friction between strings, because you will mark / damage the string. I don't mean slash, I mean as in slash as in when you're writing slash or and or. So here you have it. I have a string being covered by one of the mains. A little bit of all action maybe. Should sort it out. And it's hard to see sometimes, so if my edge is not, there you go, and which it isn't, but I got through, but I'm going to give myself a nice angle to work with, just to make everything that a little bit easier. Should probably be cutting that angle a couple times per restring, especially with rackets where you cannot see the grommets. The inside part of the grommet is normally visible, but on this racket you cannot see anything inside. It's covered. I actually kind of like the grommets on this racket. Something about it. Maybe because you can't see the string on your normal racket. Let's say, okay, this is a squash racket, but it's still a good example. You see how you can just see the string? That's not the case with this. It's covered, which kind of looks nice, I think. Aesthetically speaking, this just looks clean. All right. So keep your hand on the string that you're pulling or tightening. Want minimal movement of strings or minimal straightening of strings when you finish your job, your rackets. I therefore keep my hand towards the string so it doesn't come down. I'm not forcing it, because then you will have probably the opposite problem if you push too hard. I had that earlier today with my apprentice. I have a young man, 16-year-old, wanting to make some money, and his parents told him to go find a job. I did put a little advert. My wife actually put a little advert on Facebook. I need some time. I need some time to the family, to life in itself, and it just gets a bit too much demand. I know you guys can't see, but there's rackets everywhere. 4 or 5 rackets there. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 rackets there. Okay, those are completed. Another 2 down here. I think I might have some in my bag. I am going to go to Hammersmith in a moment to my other workshop to drop rackets off. My colleague Charles will be dropping some off tomorrow as he works in the city, and I guess he's got a few rackets for me as well. Alright, push that string up ever so slightly, not necessarily pushing it, but keeping it in place and not letting it come down. Okay. You can always check your work as well, you know. If it's not quite straight, it looks quite straight to me. It looks very straight, in fact. I'm hoping this angle looks good. I've just turned the camera around. Instead of being vertical upwards, I've turned the iPhone down horizontally. Let me know what you think. Because I'm guessing that may change the shape of the screen. It could make the screen a bit smaller, perhaps. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. I'm not very IT. Not very good with technology. Finger is getting worse. It's gone from a paper cut to a proper cut. I may need to start weaving with my middle finger, which is not natural to me, but it is not the first time, and it will not be the last time. This feels a bit more unnatural. 9:22 p.m. London, UK time, 29th of February, 2024. Leap year. Today. Effectively today. So my son was born on a leap year. My wife? My wife possibly as well? No, I don't know. I'd have to divide that. Figure that with my son, definitely. Born 28th of February. Yeah, mother and daughter born on the same day. 4 years ago yesterday. My wife was, we were in the hospital where my wife gave birth to my son. Believe it or not, guess what his name is? Yeah, if you thought Rafa, you're a good person. You're a good man, or a woman, or a boy or girl. I hope you guys don't mind my my weird commentary sometimes. I guess that's what happens when you spend so much time by yourself stringing rackets. It's nice to have a team, it's nice to work with other people, but it's also nice to have your own business and where you have nobody telling you what to do and when to do it. However, demand of amount of rackets, demand of work will dictate that I have to work every day. I do make time for my family in the evenings as best to my ability. It's not always great because I do drop-offs in the morning, I do pickups for nursery. My daughter just changed school recently, so she's getting picked up and dropped off, which is quite nice. Takes away one drop-off for me. But until about 6 weeks ago, I was doing all the pickup and drop-offs to 3 different schools / nursery kindergartens. So my day didn't start, my stringing didn't start until about 9:30 a.m., 10 a.m. And then I have to stop to pick them up. So and then today, for example, I took my son to go play tennis. Took him to a member of David Lloyd Acton. Nice clubs. However, I don't know why the courts they have, the 4-carpet or AstroTurf courts, it's like a football field, artificial grass. I don't get it. I just don't get it. There's a bubble over it. Okay, I get it if, you know, for rain purposes, because it rains a lot in the UK. Those kind of surfaces you can play on when they're wet, despite the ball getting super heavy and all the rest of it. But yeah, Try to be as involved as possible with my kids, as you should. If not, what's the point of having them? But yeah, we don't have a nanny. We rarely use a babysitter, so it is pretty full on. Therefore, I find myself stringing at silly o'clock. I'm now going to finish this racket, get on my bicycle, drop all the rackets off at our other workshop, pick some more up, and carry on return. I normally stop myself at 11 p.m. but recently with the recordings and video tutorials, I'm going to bed. We're stopping stringing closer to midnight. I have to say there's something addictive about them as well, which is even more weird because it's just me talking. You know, if I was talking to somebody else, maybe, hey, you could say, all right, fine, cool. But I would like to do some podcasts eventually, you know, once I get some good content out there. I'll get some players over or whoever I can, coaches, and there's a couple buddies of mine that we really get into some good conversations about pro tennis, business ideas, and just some cool stuff. So hopefully things will change. Okay, so again, like I was saying earlier, back to reality. So you see how the string's popping out there? If you just pull the string slightly, that'll pop in through the grommet. And back to our parnell knot, under, over, or anchor string, down and through our first knot. Pull normally the string that is closest to you. There's normally one that's slightly closer, one way of saying it, or just look into the knot and see which one is your first knot that you pulled. And there you have it, guys. I don't know what time that took. My guess is probably 20-minute mark. Oh, cut your knots. I didn't cut this one at the beginning, so I'll cut it now. And I'll straighten up my strings. Okay, 22 minutes with all the chit chat. Slight pauses here and there. I didn't pause too much with this racket because it needed to be done ASAP. Okay, I'm gonna move the strings ever so slightly. I mean, this is incredibly tight, I have to say. Alexa, 62.5 divided by 2.2. Trying to find out.
62.5 divided by 2.2 is approximately 28.4091.
For a 98 square inch synthetic gut, 1820, heavy racket. How much does this weigh? Doesn't say any of the specs on the racket. But I know it's heavy. Damn. Strong weight's 340. So probably 320 on strong. Whew. Wowzers. This guy must have an arm made of metal. Right, my strings are looking pretty straight to me. Hopefully to you as well. There you have it, guys. Listen to this. That is a rock. I mean, borderline hurts my hand. Alright guys, well I hope there was some valuable stuff in there for you. Have a great one and happy stringing. Take care guys. Any questions or anything like that, leave it in the comment box. Any advice you can give me to always improve. Always happy to hear you guys out. Take care guys. Have a good one. Ciao for now. Bye-bye.